and gentlemen, we're not going to start till exactly 12:30 because of Zoom. Does everyone have a service folder? Everybody have a service folder? And I'm just going to ask that no one stand between the camera and the clergy and the interpreter.
Where are they? Everybody going to be set up?
You're going to sit right here.
Oh, so
Mark?
that's this
Right.
right here.
Be a visual aid.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you sit down there? Where's Mark? Mark?
What are you looking for?
Mark? Where's Mark?
Mark.
Just be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to begin the funeral services of Mrs. Libby Matlin. We welcome those of you who are online and those of you who are here. For those of you who are here, please take a moment to be sure that your cell phones have been turned off. Rabbi Nate Crane from Beth Hillel B'nai Amunah will be officiating. It's at this time he's going to approach Libby's children as they rise to perform the ancient ceremony of Kriya, of tearing of the ribbon.
My dear friends, you're currently wearing what we call a Kriya ribbon. Kriya means to tear. You wear it over your left-hand side, representing your hearts, because we know the impression that a parent leaves on their children's hearts is eternal, it is everlasting, and it is essential. The reason why we tear these ribbons is so we can express on the outside how we're feeling on the inside, which is torn, separated, as if we're away. It's now that I'll ask you to repeat after me the words of our tradition. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam dayan ha'emet. I'll share these words on our behalf. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehishem Adonai b'varach. God is the one who has given and God is the one who will receive. Praise is the name of Adonai. Each generation faces a similar fate of needing to say goodbye. Say goodbye to our loved ones, our cherished ones, those who we will carry with us for all of eternity. And each generation seeks words of comfort from their friends, community, family, and from our tradition. And so we'll begin with those words of comfort from Psalm 23. I'll recite the Hebrew, following which we will turn together in our packets to recite the words in English. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo achzar benot deshe yarbitzeni, almei menuchot yinhaleni, nafshi yeshovev yenacheni v'magle tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begetz al mavet lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Shivtecha u'mishanatecha hema yenachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yerdefuni kol yamei chai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. We'll now join together in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And now a reading from Ecclesiastes. L'kol zman ve'et l'chol chefetz tachat hashamayim, et laleret ve'et lamut, et l'ta'at ve'et la'akor natua, et laharog ve'et lirpo, et lifrotz ve'et livnot, et livkot ve'et lischok. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to slay and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to cry and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time for solitude, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time for silence and a time to speak. Eshet chamimsa v'rachmok mipini michra, batach balev bala v'shalaloch zar, kamaltahu tov v'lo ra kol yemei chayeha, kapar parsa leoni v'yadeha shilcha le'evyon. Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. She is treasured above rubies. Her garden flourishes by her efforts and by her good judgment. She girds herself with strength and stretches out her hands to the needy. With her gifts and deeds, she honors all in her home. She clothes herself with strength and splendor and faces the future with cheer. She opens her mouth to speak wisdom, to speak the teachings of kindness. Set before her the fruit of her hands, and let her deeds praise her. Let us all praise the memory and love of Libby Matlin. We join here together, here with our heads bowed, to pay our final respects and a farewell overflowing with gratitude to Libby Matlin, beloved wife of the late Don Matlin, loving mother of Eric and Gloria, Mark and Jay, Marley and Kevin, proud grandmother of Zach and Katie, Ariel and Sean, Sarah, Brandon, Tyler, and Isabel, dear sister of the late Jason and the late Norma, late Sarah and the late Paul, sister-in-law of Steve Matlin, loving aunt of Laura and the late John, David and Linda, Lynn and Elliot, Matt and Terry, caring family member to honored family member Jack Jason, and friend to so many. This afternoon, we'll invite Libby's family members to share their thoughts and reflections as we honor Libby's unceasing and beloved memory. First, be joined by Mark and Jay.
So Mark hasn't heard this yet. First impressions are... Can I take this down? First impressions will have to last a lifetime. And so I want to tell you about my first impression of Libby. I was introduced as I was invited to the house for dinner. And Mark introduced me, and I said, "Glad to meet you, Mrs. Matlin." And she, without batting an eye, turned and said, "Call me Libby, and this is Don." And that's how it started. She and Don made me immediately feeling welcome. And I felt different, but not so different, because it was very warm, inviting, and embracing. So that's how it started. And now 38 years later, I'm here talking about it. Speaking of Don, one of the things that I think was great about their marriage was there was a balance. They were complementary. Always complimentary. But still, there were a lot of "oh, Dons" when he said something that wasn't right. Or at least in Libby's eyes, they weren't right. There's a term I like to use. It's called synergistic. Best way I can describe synergistic is 1 + 1 is 3. And that's what their relationship was. It was synergistic. It was more than additive. It played on each other, which again is different, but not so different. Libby was embracing of me immediately, especially when she found out that I was a gastroenterologist. And she never failed to remind me of that in all those years. She was giving. She was giving of the heart, and she was giving of gifts. But I have to say, anybody can come to Mark and my home, and you'll find some of the strangest things she's given us. To this day, we still don't know what to do with them. But they were from the heart. The love was unquestionably there. Libby could be direct, but balanced. Sometimes sugar-coated, oftentimes direct. And that was good, because you knew where you stood. So she was straightforward. Something I respected about her. And she respected others also. She respected family. And if I had to say one thing about Libby, is that she took pride in her family. She took pride in each one of her children collectively and separately. She had love of family, and she was supportive and devoted to her family. And that's kind of what I will always remember. I started out with first impressions and finishing finish up now with some important thoughts. One, I'm glad that I was able to be with her for the last 38 years. She gave me and others a lot of love. And finally, and most importantly, we all owe her our thanks. We're keeping the family so close and so tight and so meaningful. And for me personally, I want to thank Mark and all of her welcoming, thank her for Mark and all her, not Mark is welcoming, and Mark and all her welcoming, embracing, respectful, and sincere love and support over the years. So, thank you, Libby. Whoa. Thank you, Libby. And thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to pause with the speeches for a moment and ask the gentleman to lower her casket because it is starting to rain. We'll put the cover of the vault on and then we'll continue.
Thank you so much, Jay, and thank you, Mark. Now we'll be joined by Eric and Gloria.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. Libby, little Libby, my mom, was incredibly special. The first time I met her, she was just Mrs. Matlin. Second time I met her, it was Libby. Next time, it was my girlfriend, Libby. And then, of course, my mother-in-law for 46 years of my life. Like, kind of unbelievable. Everybody knows how much we all loved her, how much she loved all of us. And she was really a special person. I'll never, ever forget her. And with saying that, I found something last night that I want to read. It's called, "You Don't Just Lose Someone Once. You lose them over and over, sometimes many times a day, when the loss momentarily forgotten creeps up and attacks you from behind. Fresh waves of grief. At the realization hits home, they are gone again. You don't just lose someone once, you lose them every time you open your eyes to a new dawn. And as you awaken, so does your memory, and so does the jolting bolt of lightning that rips into your heart that they are gone again. Losing someone is a journey, not a one-off. There is no end to the loss. There is only a learned skill on how to stay afloat when it washes over. So be kind to those who are telling this stormy sea. They have a journey ahead of them and daily shock to the system each time they realize they are gone again. You just don't lose someone once. You lose them every day for a lifetime."
I'm an orphan. My mom lived for over 91 years. And in that time, there's people who knew her, people come and go from her life, but there were a lot of constants. Depending on when you knew her, you might have known different people. Like, she grew up in wretched poverty in a broken home. She survived childhood. She met my father. They had a tumultuous relationship that was full of love, and anybody that knew them, I can't really describe it much further than that. And she was a proud mother, a very proud grandmother. I just want to give one little story. I used to, visit her at Lieberman, where she lived for about 7 years in assisted living. And when she was in assisted living and she was up on the 7th floor and she still had some capacity, I would walk around with her throughout the building. And no matter who you talk to in the building, and this is a fairly large building, I don't know how many units there are, but there's a lot of them. And everybody in that building that worked there, and a lot of people that lived there too, everybody knew Libby. And we would walk around and she would be smiling and BSing with people, and people, "Hey Libby, how you doing? Blah, 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 Libby." And every time they'd walk by, she goes, "Who was that?" She was just, and that's the one thing about, as things changed, she was always, her entire life, a gregarious woman. And she just liked to engage with people, whether they were total strangers or they're her best friends. So I just, that's the memory I want to keep with me. She had the dementia already. She lost her elevator privileges when she wandered outside. She wasn't trying to escape, but she took off her ankle bracelet, and they.
To go to Old Orchard.
She needed to go to Old Orchard, Mark said. So she lost her elevator privileges, and then she was put into the memory care unit on the 5th floor, and that's what really hurt for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years even, where she couldn't wander throughout the building. She was stuck on her floor, and that was a sad thing because she just, she was at home there when she had the whole place. But I just wanted to share that little section of her life with you all. Thank you all for being here today. Love you, Mom.
Thank you so much, Gloria and Eric. As we pay our final respects and share in our sorrow-filled farewell to Libby, we recognize how rare and precious a human being Libby was to very so many. For she was caring, thoughtful, dedicated, energetic, and so much more. Twice daily as a community, we recite the central theological statement of our people in its entirety. It's called the Shema, in which we find a list of Jewish priorities: the belief in the oneness of God, the honor of God's name, and a command to love. Ve'ahavta Adonai le'elohecha, and you shall love the Lord your God. And our tradition has asked over the generations, how is it that you can command someone to feel a feeling? How is it that you could command someone to feel love? Well, our prayer teaches that to love really means to show love through actions. And Libby was exceptional at showing love. For love permeated every facet of her life, every cherished relationship, every opportunity for interaction. And this was a blessing because to help others feel loved is one of the holiest tasks we have during our time here on earth. And Libby most especially showed her love with the love of her life, her best friend, her beloved Don, with whom she taught her family, friends, and the world how to love and how to build an eternal love, through which she provided a guidebook to her children and their children and anyone who encountered them on how to make a powerful connection. And that connection cannot be contained by space nor time. It's passionate and unceasing. As the family shared with me, we now find comfort in knowing that this exceptional couple is reunited. A relationship that began at 15 years old and continued a lifetime, 62 years, shows us the power of Libby and Don's commitment to one another and the life that they built together as a team. As Eric just shared, emerging from a life of tremendous challenge, coming together to build a far different life from the ones they experienced earlier in life. They were dedicated. They were incredible. And their legacy shall remain forever with their family, consecrated through their children's, grandchildren's, nieces, and nephews' relationships and the lessons they pass on l'dor vador from generation to generation. Libby's care and charisma and connections extended to everyone she met and everywhere she was. She made friends wherever she went, servers at restaurants, everyone in her building, because she has what we would call EQ, emotional intelligence. But I think it's probably better suited to say that she was Libby. It's fitting for this moment because that was her identity. And her Jewish identity was essential to her and Don's life and how they raised their family. Finding the right Jewish community and synagogue to fit their family. Joining for Shabbat services on Friday nights, and Libby's love for Yiddish continued throughout her lifetime. And as the family shared with me, we couldn't forget the foods and their aromas that filled the home. Recipes now passed down to the next generation, to children and grandchildren. And for her children and grandchildren, there never was a dull moment. Some of the best memories are just sitting and being together. Because Libby's excitement to see them, to care for them, to play with and support them could be felt all the time. There for the kids and family, laughing and smiling, ultimately finding significant comfort in her children's wonderful respective partners in life. Throughout the day, earlier today, unexpectedly, the sun peeked out from behind the clouds. The sun in Hebrew is called Shemesh, which has the same spelling as the word Shamash in the Hebrew. The Shamash is the candle we use during Hanukkah to light all the other candles. It is the one that delivers light to all the others. The Shamash is a helper and a guide that allows all other candles to illuminate the world around them. It is so clear to see from Libby's family that she was the Shemesh, the sun, the source of light, and the Shamash, the one who helped others to ignite their flames. Their talents, their abilities, their passions and determination to grow into the very best versions of themselves and to illuminate the world around them and pass that great gift on to the next generation. And Libby and Don, together as a team, stood there so proud, looking back at the light that they brought into the world. Their legacy shall remain forever with their family. How living are those that have left us, enshrined but not apart. How safe within the heart we hold them still, our loved ones, whatever else be fled. They are all beside us, still in joy, in pain. In every crucial hour they come again, bearing the gifts of blessing and love. And those blessings of love become for us a bridge that leads upwards. We're led upward by Libby's memory, the one which we consecrate here today. How living is Libby in all of our hearts, our actions, words, and the souls of her beloved family. May her soul be bound up into the bonds of everlasting life. Tieh nishmata tzura b'tzura chaim, zichrona livracha. May her memory be an eternal blessing. And together we say, Amen. It's now that we rise for our memorial prayer, our El Maleh, in which we ask for Libby's soul to be bound to each and every one of ours for all of eternity. El Maleh Rachamim Shochein Bamromim המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה B'ma'alo kedushim matorim kazor harakia mazhirim. Et nishmat liba fega bat pinchas veruchol. Shalach alama began Eden tehe menuchata. Ana balarachamim hasti reha beseter konfecha leolamim. Utzror bitzor chayim et nishmata. Adonai nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom. Al mishkava v'nomar. Amen. El Malay Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of our beloved Libby, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Within our tradition, we have a mitzvah, a task that surpasses all others. It's the task titled Chesed Shel Emet. It is laying our loved ones to rest. And the way that we perform this important task is by laying earth on their final resting place. So it's now that I will invite Libby's family to join us in laying earth as we say goodbye to such a cherished soul.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can use either side. Ladies and gentlemen, just so everyone knows what's going on, after we have the burial, the rabbi will lead everyone in the mourner's Kaddish. Then we'll have a shura, a double aisleway, and the immediate mourners, Libby's 3 children, will walk through. It's at that time you may offer words of consolation. You can find the traditional words on the back of the service folder. Memorial contributions to the Council for Jewish Elderly. That information is on the service folder, as well as the Shiva at the Matlin residence. For those of you who are online, you can find all that information on our website. For those who are here, it's all on the service folder. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask everyone to gather back underneath the canopy, and Libby's 3 children to be in the first row. Rabbi's going to lead everyone in the mourner's Kaddish.
Before we share in our traditional prayer of the mourner's Kaddish, we are going to be joined by Marley to share some thoughts and reflections.
I didn't really prepare anything to make comments, so I'm going to be speaking from the heart today, as the rabbi said. Briefly, I'm the baby in the family, and I always will be. Libby, my mom, was always be the one and only Libby that we all knew and loved. She will always be my mom, my mother. Even though now she's laid to rest, she's still alive in my heart, as is my father, Don. Mom loved my husband, Kevin. And she loved men in uniform. She loved our children. And she loved every one of you here today. As I look around this group, oh my goodness, I mean it. She loved every one of you. She especially loved my friends who are deaf. And I know they loved her as well as my dad, as well as they loved my dad. So thank you, each of you, for being part of their lives. Thank you for coming today. I love you.
Thank you so much, Marlene. Thank you. It's now that we'll share in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on the back of our handouts. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Leolam Olmei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'pa'ar V'tromam V'yitnaseh V'tadar V'tale V'talal Shemei de Kudusha Barechu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Al mikoma tavo v'shalom. May Libby go unto God in peace. Zichronah livracha, may her memory be an eternal blessing. And together we say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the gentleman from the cemetery closed Libby's grave, we're going to ask everyone to form a shura, a double aisleway, towards the drive over there. And Libby's 3 children will just stand next to the rabbi, and he'll escort them through. So it's at that time you may offer words of consolation. So if we can kindly ask everyone to help form the shura. We want to thank, on behalf of the family, the many, many people that are watching online. At this time, we are going to turn off the live stream.